Could personalized medicine become a critical weapon in the fight against opioid addiction? Researchers say that a new genetic test can help clinicians identify who might be predisposed to becoming hooked on opioids. Study findings are being presented during the largest U.S. pain conference for doctors with an interest in pain management, which is getting underway in Las Vegas. Here now is conference participant Dr. Keri Donaldson from predictive health intelligence company Prescient Medicine to explain the latest efforts in the war on opioid abuse. Doctor, why are we looking at the role of genetics on opioid addiction and abuse?
Debbie, the idea that genetics may play a role in addiction or dependency to drugs and alcohol really isn't new. It's been around since at least the 1950s or 60s. What is new about understanding genetics is the ability to go through and use these predispositions with advanced techniques to really discern or develop testing that divides populations that may have a higher genetic risk versus a baseline or lower genetic risk for dependency. This particular one is focused on opioid dependency, prescription opioid dependency.
What are some of the results from the study?
So this particular study really looked at two patient populations, one that had a high likelihood of risk defined as opioid dependency and currently seeking treatments. So that was one population. And we used another population that was age matched, gender specific, that was not opioid dependent and tested negative. And we looked at the genetic makeup of those two groups and asked, can we, with automated intelligence and machine learning, develop a test that will really divide those two groups from each other? And the answer is we can. The certainty or sensitivity and specificity of this test is really profound. The sensitivity is 97% and the specificity is 88% in being able to reliably divide those two groups from each other.
How confident can clinicians be in the results of this test?
Yeah, this particular test, again, the sensitivity of 97% and the 88% specificity allows clinicians to determine pretty rapidly whether a patient has a higher genetic risk of developing dependency or a baseline or lower genetic risk of developing dependency.
How important are tools like this in helping the medical community prevent the potential for opioid dependency and abuse?
So the opioid epidemic right now is in fact a national emergency. It has affected, or it currently affects, greater than 60,000 patients per year that die of drug-related overdoses, the vast majority of which are opioid-related drug overdoses. The economic burden of this is just as profound, greater than $20 billion in direct hospitalization costs, greater than $80 billion of indirect medical costs per year. The use of these tests will allow really that profound impact to be somewhat blunted. So you can go through and determine whether a patient prior to getting a prescription opioid has a likelihood of developing dependency. Why would that matter? Greater than 8 out of 10 or 80% of patients that become dependent on heroin and or other illicit intravenous drugs start with prescription opioid dependency. So if you can determine the risk of dependency prior to giving the drug, the hope is that that cost and that profound impact can be shortened or blunted pretty quickly.
Is there anything you'd like to add about opioid dependency and abuse that we did not cover?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we just went over pretty quickly is that greater than 60,000 patients died of drug-related overdoses in 2016. I always like to make sure that that's intrinsically apparent to most people why that's important. That's like a 9/11 happening 1 to 2 times a month, every month of the year, and it's getting worse. Another way to think about it is the magnitude of this crisis compares to mass casualty events like the Vietnam War. We lost over 50,000, about 60,000 lives or casualties in the Vietnam War over a 20-year period. We're seeing that every single year. So the one thing that I think it's important for us to really focus on is the magnitude of how this is impacting us. And we need to work together for solutions to this very, very large problem. And the test that we just went over today is a portion of the way in which we can do that.
Doctor, where can we get more details on the research and on the new test?
Sure, Debbie. You can contact us or find us at prescientmedicine.com. That's Prescient medicine.com. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too.